Give you quick points on floating. Floating is not necessarily to do with your arms and legs. Floating is to do with the water. It's to do with your body density, so your bone mass, your the amount of fat you've got, the amount of muscle you've got. Muscle weighs more than fat, so it's going to kind of pull you down. So if you're someone like a bodybuilder, they're extremely hard to teach because they're just made of muscle and they're so dense they just sink. Whereas someone who's obese will find it very, very easy to float because, well, fat floats. But everybody, no matter how big or small you are, generally everyone's got lungs. So, and inside those lungs will be air, and that is the key to floating, in my opinion. It's got not much to do with your body position. Yeah, body position is important, but that's more to do with, well, with the position of your body in the water to set up different strokes and other different positions and stuff. But in terms of just floating, it is literally the air in your body that keeps you afloat. So take treading water, for example. When I tread water, yes, I can scull, yes, I can do a breaststroke kick, but most of the time I'm just controlling the amount of air in my lungs. So if you practice, you can talk like this, which doesn't seem that much different, but what I'm doing is I'm holding air in my lungs as I'm talking, and I'm letting a little bit of air out, but I can keep topping it up. So therefore, because I've got more air in my lungs, I'm gonna float more, which means I have to work less. So I have to kick less, I use to scull less, use my hands less, whatever. So, and a lot of people just don't realise that floating is pretty much, you can do it already. Like you just don't realise it. I taught some adults the other week, and they were scared of the deep end, which, you know, most people are, and you see the fear in the eyes, but it's because they believe that the water's going to pull them down. Because you do get pulled down when you're in the deep end, you do get pulled down when you're in the shallow end, but it's not the water pulling you down, it's what always pulls you down every day of your life, it's gravity. So once you get that in your head, then you're going to be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more confident, and you're going to worry less, which means you're going to focus more on whatever you're being told to do or whatever you're focusing on. You could be practicing by yourself or with a teacher, whatever, but if it's in your head that the water's pulling you down, and the deeper it is, the more it pulls you down, and that's why deep water is dangerous, because you have to learn to swim to be. You don't need to learn to swim to be safe necessarily. There's a difference between swimming as such and floating and treading water. So I've seen people teach purely like front crawl, which is great, looks fantastic, but then what are you gonna do if you get tired? Like front crawl is one of the most tiring strokes. It's one of the most difficult, awkward ways of breathing, and one of the most complex ways of breathing. You need good body position, you need a good kick, you need good arms, you need good timing of the arms, you need good body rotation, you need balance, you need good timing, you need all those things just to get the breathing in front crawl, in my opinion. Whereas treading water, like I've said before, you can rely mostly just on the air in your lungs. And certain pools are easier to do than others, but because of salt content and stuff. But yeah, it's people, when they go to learn to swim, they expect to swim on the top of the water, and they think that's the safest place, but it's not. In terms of breathing, of course, yeah, but that's the only reason we swim on top, like near the top of the water, is because we need to breathe often. That's it. Swimming, learning to float under the water, and even like writing yourself underwater and stuff is easier. Like if you fall over, then to get back up again, it's easier under the water than it is on top of the water. So yeah, that's one of the first things I teach is going underwater, breathing. But yeah, just floating is purely to do with the air in your body and the water pushing you up, and it's got nothing to do with arms and legs. So if someone's screaming at someone else saying kick harder or move your arms faster or get your arms over the water, that's not going to help. That's not going to help at all. It's going to help with fitness, but yeah, not much else. And in terms of positions in the water, you don't need to do a star float to float. You don't need to do a mushroom float to float. You don't need to do a pencil to float. Those are all, they all serve their purpose, but they're not, again, because it's called a mushroom float, a pencil float, or a tuck float, or whatever, people believe that you need to get in that position in order to float. No. Like the reason people do star floats, which I don't like star floats really, is apparently more, you spread the surface of your body out, so therefore you're more likely to float. But if you're a skinny guy, if you're a skinny person and with not a lot of fat like me, then star floats are actually really hard to do. Really hard. You're better off just relaxing, because then if you are relaxing, then you'll feel relaxed, and then your mind will be relaxed, and then everything's easier anyway. So yeah.